March Madness. Welcome to the Hard 90 with your host, Gage Kirkland. And my, oh my, we are getting just so much closer to the start of the regular season for Major League Baseball. It's madness because we're in the midst of March, and one of my favorite times of the year because we got March Madness. And I know that's basketball and it's college basketball, but it feels really good to have this come back and to have something to latch onto, just as sort of we didn't have it last year, and 2020 is already off to a better start. The vaccine numbers are going up, which is great. You got your biweekly COVID update on this show, but no, it's going really well, and March Madness is swimmingly good. It's been quite an upset-filled tournament. My bracket's already been busted. I'm doing okay actually, because a lot of friends of mine who are also competing with these bracket challenges, also their brackets are kind of busted too. Within the first 2 days, a couple of my Elite Eight, Final Four teams were already gone. Thanks, Ohio State. But yeah, the March Madness is back. It looks great. Spring training is fully underway, and something that just made me think about it is this is the first episode since the 1-year anniversary of the start of COVID-19, and I'm actually going to take a trip down memory lane here. 1 year ago, I was still a college student, and once COVID hit, everything just sort of spiraled out of control. And I'll give you sort of my recap, and maybe you can sort of relate, as we all have dealt with hardships over the last calendar year. But 1 year ago for me, it was March 11th, I believe. And I was in class, in a business capstone class. And that was the day that the NBA shut down, when Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz tested positive. And at that time, COVID-19 was very young. It was in its infancy in the United States. And once Rudy Gobert went positive, the league shut down. And I remember seeing the tweet from Adrian Wojnarowski, who is a senior NBA insider for ESPN, very popular on Twitter. And he tweeted saying the NBA is canceled, or I forget the exact word he used. Suspended, that was it. The NBA has suspended its season. A very simple tweet, but effective. And a lot of people like me, and this was during the class, a lot of people like me who were paying attention to this just sort of were mumbling around and sort of whispering to each other because, we were still observing a regular class time. We were still in person at the time. And, it wasn't the first time I'd been on Twitter during class. And I apologize to my parents who were listening to this. But yeah, it happened, and the NBA shut down. And little did I know that that would actually be my final in-person college class ever. And it was very sad because the next day, the university sent out a memo that it was going online for the foreseeable future. And for the next 2 months, I was a virtual student, like a lot of other students, like practically every other student for that matter. And for the rest of the world, went virtual. The NBA shut down. The next day, Major League Baseball suspended its spring training and was on hold until summer camp, which, in June, July is when they started ramping up again. Everything was put on hold. March Madness was canceled. That's how we kicked off this show. Everything was just sort of put on hold. And just remembering how far we've come is something I usually like to think about, but it's something that I always like to bring up, especially in this case, because it's relevant. We've done this for a year. We've quarantined for a year. We have been through so much as a community, as a country, as a species. And there has been so much that we've dealt with. Regardless of, if we're working or studying at home. But like everything else, sports eventually got back up, dusted off its feet, and everything went on as scheduled, or as scheduled as it could be. Baseball started up again in July, and football started on time, which was, I didn't even think that would happen. College football happened. The NBA, even though it finished late, it started up again, and with the shortest offseason ever, the NHL kept going, and I'm just grateful that we were able to experience this and still have sports throughout this very challenging 12 months. So it's been 1 year. We're recording this episode about a year and a week displaced since the anniversary. But I just wanted to share a little heart-to-heart. Maybe you can relate. A lot of people who listen to the show are close friends of mine and probably have very similar experiences, who were in school and didn't realize that their final in-person class was that final in-person class. Or, if you were traveling for work and you didn't realize that, the next 12 months plus would be spent on a laptop getting your work done. A lot of people have experienced that too. And, we're on the mend. The other day, my girlfriend and I were driving to Chipotle. And we live in Anaheim, and Angel Stadium is, plopped right in the center of the city. And, Chipotle was on the way, or Angel Stadium was on the way to Chipotle. And I look over and I pointed at Angel Stadium. I was like, hey, there's going to be 11,000 people in that building in a couple weeks. And it just kind of sunk in that, yeah, things are starting to recover. Things are starting to recuperate. So baseball is almost here. And I cannot be more excited. And I hope you share that same enthusiasm as me. Because we've faced so much. And it has been inspiring to see what we have been able to accomplish. I do want to do one more thing before I get to the headlines of the show. There is a very special person out there who is an avid listener to this show. Rosemary Hurley out there in Hilo, Hawaii. I wanted to give you a very special shout out. Thank you so much for listening. And for those who do not know Rosemary Hurley, she is my grandmother. She's a very special person in my life. And she is the show's #1 fan. So shout out to you, Rosemary. And on the recording of this show, it is her 85th birthday. So happy birthday, Rosemary. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. And we love you. So some other headlines on the Hard 90. The Texas Rangers will be opening up the season with 100% capacity at Globe Life Field. Sort of going along the narrative with the state of Texas. If you remember, Texas and Missouri basically opened up their economies at 100% capacity without mask mandates. Personally, I don't think that's a great idea, but the Texas Rangers are opening up the season with 100% capacity, but masks are required to enter the building. At least you have something, right? But there will be a full 45,000 fans in the building. It'll be very fun, at least, to watch the games, knowing that fans will be having a great time. A couple weeks ago, the San Francisco Giants and the Cleveland Indians finished a game without umpires in the bottom of the ninth. And to my knowledge, the Indians were leading the game, and they were leading it as the home team in the top half of the ninth. And once the inning finished, the umpires were like, all right, game's over. But the Giants were like, we still want to, pitch, or we still want to get back out there on the field. And the Indians felt the same way. They both wanted to get the work in. Because, in spring training, you have planned who's going to pitch and how many innings. And the umpires didn't agree, so they literally went home. And the Giants and Indians played the bottom of the ninth inning without umpires. So if that's not the most spring training thing I can think of, that's it right there. So Giants and Indians finished up, and I may have gotten who was leading incorrect. If I didn't, heyo, coin flip. Shohei Ohtani on the 21st of March pitched in a game where they didn't have the DH. They were playing the Diamondbacks, to my best recollection. But he did something that was very rare. Not only was he the starting pitcher, he was also the leadoff hitter for this game for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which very, very hot take. That's probably very well known. They shouldn't be called the LA Angels. Call them the Anaheim Angels, the California Angels, something else. I know it's to latch on to the LA market, but it's not true. Everyone knows it. I mean, Artie, come on. Artie Moreno is the owner of the Angels. Seriously, just change the name. I mean, seriously. No one in LA likes it. No one in Orange County likes it. Personally, the California Angels would be the best name for that team. But anyway, Shohei Ohtani pitched and hit leadoff, which apparently is super rare. And you don't have to be a whiz kid to know that. Because if you've watched any capacity of baseball, you know that's not very common. So Shohei Ohtani pitched and hit leadoff for the Angels. And he's been doing a pretty good job. If he can stay healthy, look out. And to wrap up sort of the good news part of the show, on the 19th of March, 14,845 individuals were tested for COVID-19, and count them, one positive COVID result turned back, which is incredible news, and I have to believe that's Joey Votto of the Reds, who was held back from camp for a couple days, but as of today, as of we're recording this show, he's back with the Reds. He seems to be healthy. It's great news. Baseball is trending in the right direction. So we have a lot of great news. We're coming up on opening day. It's about a week and a half away, and the next episode will be an opening day special. We're going to expedite our schedule here on the Hard 90. We have been doing a bi-weekly show, but opening day is a special occasion. So on Thursday, April 1st, we will be dropping a opening day episode of the Hard 90, so be sure to tune in for that, or just share it with a family member, friends, anybody you got. So that's it for this episode of the Hard 90. If you like this episode, share it with some friends and some family members. Also, please give the podcast a rating and subscribe on Apple Podcasts if you enjoyed it. And also check out the brand new YouTube channel. So from this point forward, episodes will be released on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube moving forward, in addition to wherever you listen to your podcasts. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time on opening day on the Hard 90.